Hi guys, it's Kamil here, and I'm coming to you with my reaction to Man Booker International Longlist that was announced today and how much excited I am. You can tell by the fact that it is 11 p.m. I came back from work an hour ago. Today it was a crazy long day at work and I still want to record this video. So I think that this is a brilliant list and I'm really excited about some of the books. I've read only 3, but I know books, previous works of other authors that I will talk about today. So those books that you've seen on my thumbnail are the books that I either read or the books of the authors that are long listed here that I've read in the past. So let me start from one general comment. I believe that this list is much more exciting than Man Booker, the traditional one. Those are the books that are much more innovative in terms of the structure. Those are the books that are blurring quite often. That's actually something that I see as the overlying theme, that most of those books that are blurring the line between non-fiction and fiction, which is extremely interesting. And some of those I would not even consider fiction. I would rather lean towards naming them non-fiction or something on the border of that. So maybe that's why they are here. But still, I mean, it's super interesting to see those books here on the long list. And without any further ado, let's get to the ones that I've read. And I will start, a bit of patriotism harms nobody, right? So I will start from Olga Tokarczuk, The Flights. This is my laptop over here, so forgive me for looking that direction. I want to read the names of the translators of the books that I have in original tongue or in Polish. So this is Olga Tokarczuk. Olga Tokarczuk, The Flights, was translated by Jennifer Croft and was published by Fitzgeraldo Editions. This is Polish version of this book that I've read. I don't think it was long ago. I think it was around 2 or 3 years ago. This is the book that was awarded Nike, Polish most prestigious literary award, and Olga Tokarczuk is a huge name on Polish literary scene. And what I would tell you before I get to the book itself, that this is also the one that is on the border of fiction and non-fiction. This is the book that, if we translated the title a bit better than The Flights, I would translate it The Wanderers. This is a book that would focus on the people that are not set in one place, the people that the stories of Olga Tokarczuk describes in the book are the ones that are in constant movement. Bieguni, the original title, The Flights, are the Slavic sect of people that are in constant movement, and those appear in the half of the book. The rest is the story of us that don't lead the traditional settled way of life. I don't know what I said of us, because I lead the traditional settled way of life. You know what I find interesting? That even though this is, as you can see, I've marked quite a few paragraphs over here, so there are brilliant moments in this book, but I've read other books by Olga Tokarczuk, and if this one is receiving such a positive reviews, read her earlier stuff that are much better than this one, which is still very good. Olga Tokarczuk is brilliant. So yeah, Bieguni, The Flights. This is not a traditional book. If you are looking for a plot, this is not a book for you. This is very fragmented collection of stories that overlying theme is the movement. So that's Olga Tokarczuk. Then I've read Kang's The White Book. That is probably the one that is the most well known on the long list. And once again, this is not a traditional novel. This is the meditation on lost and the meditation on the color white. Kang, this is also a Polish theme here, because Kang written this book when she was on literary internship in Warsaw, and the city that she refers to in the book is my city, Warsaw. I loved it, but I still think that Human Acts is her the strongest book. translated by Deborah Smith. Deborah Smith is a brilliant, brilliant woman, and she and Kang are a match made in heaven. So the third book that I've read that is on the long list is the Ahmed Sadawi, Frankenstein in Baghdad. And let me be clear here, I haven't read it, I listened to it. And I finished listening to it around 2 or 3 weeks ago. Frankenstein in Baghdad is a great commentary on Iraqi society, the society destroyed and demoralized by war, while very often it's being nicknamed as Kafkaesque book. I don't really see that much of Kafka in there. On the other side, I believe that it's a brilliant idea that works for the most of the novel, but I believe that it wears out around half of it. So this is a story of a guy that was brought back to life by piecing together the parts of body of people that were killed during the bomb eruption. And that's how the Frankenstein in Baghdad was created. And Sadawi asks a very interesting question: where is the border between the justice and the injustice? And the two authors that I've read in the past that are long listed are Javier Cercas and Laurent Binet. Javier Cercas is a very well-known Spanish writer, and both of those guys are known from blurring the fiction and non-fiction, especially Laurent Binet, that I will get to in a second. But let's start from Javier Cercas. And I've read this one. This one is titled Outlaws. His most famous book is The Soldiers of Salamis, and this is a tiny one that I haven't read, although I mentioned it at least once in my previous video. And I love this one, so there is no excuse that I haven't picked this one yet. So this is a great motivation. So his title that was longlisted right now is The Impostor. And this is a story of Enrico Marco, very well-known figure in Spain. A guy that was connected with anti-fascist movement, the one that was for most of his life thought to be a former prisoner of German concentration camp Mauthausen. And he was also thought to fight on the Republican side during Spanish Civil War. All of that made him a very well-known figure in Spain until he was exposed. It became public that he never was a prisoner of German concentration camp, that he actually was a volunteered worker during Third Reich in Germany. And if you know Javier Cercas, this is a story that is very similar to the one that he showed here. And what I mean by that he tells a story of historical figures that give very unreliable public picture of themselves. Outlaws is a story of a gang of juvenile criminals that is set after Franco's death, and the main character is a historical figure, very well-known criminal in Spain. I don't remember the name right now, so forgive me for that. That became a celebrity kind of in Spain before he died. So you can see the relation with Enrico Marcos. Then getting to Laurent Binet, French writer, I absolutely loved this one. The first book that he published called HHHH, and it goes after German, Himmler's Hirnheißt, which would translate as the name of the Himmler's brain is Heydrich. Reinhard Heydrich was the creator of the plan of extermination of European Jews, while Himmler was the executor of the plan. And Laurent Binet writes about Reinhard Heydrich in this book and his assassination in Prague by the resistance. I absolutely adore this book because this book is very meta, obviously, and that's not indulgent at all here, and it's not really disturbing because the book is telling the story of Reinhard Heydrich, but it's also a story of Laurent Binet writing this book. While the seventh function of language, the long-listed book, is based on life of Roland Barthes, French literary critic and theorist, which, according to the real-life event, was run over by the truck and died in the hospital a few days after. And here Laurent Binet is creating a fictional investigation and turning the accident into a crime. So that's already sounds super interesting to me. And if you think that his books are difficult, really, it reads like a dream, and I believe that the seventh function of the language will read as a dream as well. So those are the books that I read, or the authors I know. Now, getting back to the long list and a few words on the books that I found interesting and the ones that I want to read. Virginie Despentes, France, translated by Frank Wynne. Sorry for not mentioning the translators of the books I talked about previously. And the title of the novel is Vernon Subutex, just because of the cover that I will put somewhere here, that I've seen in Polish libraries and bookstores. I was thinking that this is some kind of a crazy criminal novel that is absolutely not for me. And now I've read the blurb and read about this book, and I'm more than excited to pick this one up. The only thing that this is the first installment of the trilogy. And this is a book that the main protagonist is the owner of music shop that, because of the development of digital music, is losing the shop and ends up on the street. And this is a commentary of our current European social situation, basically. And I've read that this is a great commentary, political one, social one, the one on race, the one on privileges. I'm definitely going to pick this one up. Then there is Jenny Erpenbeck, Germany, Go, Went, Gone, translated by Susan Bernofsky and released by Portobello Books. And this one is the one that I'm the most excited about. And this is a story of German university professor that retired and discovers the tent city in Berlin that is populated by African asylum seekers. And this is a story with the references to the city that was once divided by the wall and segregated the population into us and them, and we kind of see the similar structure now when we have immigrants living around us. This relationship, this interjunction of those two historical situations, extremely interesting, and I definitely will pick this one up. Then Ariana Harwicz, Die My Love, translated by Sarah Moses and Caroline Orloff. This is from Argentina, and this is a story of a very rarely met in literature mother that is going mad because of her motherhood. And the one that reminds me of Soviet Milk by Nora Xtena, a book published by Piren, translated from Latvian. I've read it a few weeks ago and I found it brilliant. This is also a story of very unusual mother and her relationship with a daughter set in Soviet Latvia. Brilliant one. I'm surprised it's not long-listed, being honest. Then there is László Krasznahorkai. This is from Hungary. And the title is The World Goes On. I believe this is a collection of short stories. I'm not really into that, so I'm not going to read that. And then we have Antonio-Molina, very well-known Spanish established writer that I haven't read yet. And this is his book, Like a Fading Shadow, translated from Spanish by Camilo A. Ramirez. Very nice name. This is a very interesting one, and the one that I'm definitely going to make an attempt to read. No, I will read it, but it depends when, obviously. So this is a book about, once again, this is a book that is blurring fiction and non-fiction, because this is a book that is intersecting the life of the writer with the story of James Earl Ray, the killer of Martin Luther King. What is interesting about the life of James Earl Ray is the fact that he was running away from United States after killing Martin Luther King, through Canada to London and then to Portugal, where he spent his last days in Lisbon before he was cut, waiting for his visa to Angola, I believe. Then there is The Flying Mountain by Christopher Ramsey from Austria. This is about two brothers, I believe, that went to Himalaya. This is supposed to be very lyrical, so yeah, and it has good reviews. Somehow it doesn't strike me as interesting. Then there is Wu Mingyi, translated from Chinese by Daryl Sterk. This is a Taiwanese writer, and the title of the novel is The Stolen Bicycle. I don't know much about this book, and I'm not really interested based on the blurb that I've read. Then once again there is a Spanish novel. There are 3 Spanish novels nominated for Man Booker International Prize, the ones that are longlisted. So this is by Gabriel Ibarra, translated by Natasha Wynne, the dinner guest. And this is a debut novel, I believe. And this is a story of the writer's grandfather that was the mayor of Bilbao, who was kidnapped by Basque separatists and I believe killed. So the writer goes back to her family story. Once again, historical fiction. Once again, something that is on the border of fiction and non-fiction. Very excited about reading this one. So guys, those are all the books that are longlisted for Man Booker International Prize. Sorry for this hectic video. Once again, it's 11 p.m. Now probably 12 already. No, it's not that bad. But it's still late. So let me know if you read any of those books. Let me know which strike you as interesting. And let me know how do you feel about Man Booker International 2018 longlist. Now it's time to edit this video and upload it. It will take me time. Hopefully I will still be able to go to bed at a decent hour. Bye bye.